Hey guys, welcome back to Nickflix. I'm Nicole. Today I've got another 5 movies I recommend for your next movie night, summer edition. Kind of. Part 1. This batch of movies are ones that I personally love to watch for summer. They may not have an explicit summer theme, but to me they just feel like summer. I also know that there are very obvious movies for summer, but I wanted to pick some that were a little bit more niche, a little bit more obscure, that you may not have thought of for summer or you might not even know about. First up is Emma from 2020. This stars Anya Taylor-Joy and Johnny Flynn and was directed by Autumn de Wilde. This movie is the latest remake of Jane Austen's novel Emma, and it's my personal favorite. I know it may not be everyone's because there's the Gwyneth Paltrow version, the BBC version, but I love something about this version of Emma, and to me it just feels like summer. The story follows Emma Woodhouse, a young woman in Victorian England who is known for being a local matchmaker, despite more than a few mismatches and meddlesome moments. The story follows her growth as she navigates friendship, found family, society drama, and even finding love herself. This movie has a great cast of characters, and I think Anya Taylor-Joy as Emma is a perfect pick. The way she portrays her, she gives off just enough of that privileged confidence, yet delicate innocence that perfectly embodies Emma from the book. The story takes place over all 4 seasons, but because of the costumes, the film coloring, the set choices, it just feels so bright and airy, hence the summer vibes. Next up is RV, the 2006 movie starring Robin Williams, Cheryl Hines, Josh Hutcherson, and JoJo. It was directed by Barry Sonnenfeld. Now, I know what you're thinking. This movie, seriously? It's cringy. It's got bad acting. Is it even funny? Those are all fair criticisms. I completely understand. But there's just something so charming about this movie, and particularly Robin Williams' character, Bob. I love him so much, and he's really trying hard to balance wanting to reconnect with his family and also this big work merger, which is how he makes money to take care of his family. And I think it has a lot of good themes, and sometimes with movies, you also just have to let yourself enjoy the bad ones too. RV follows Robin Williams' character, Bob, as he takes his disconnected family on an RV trip. His 2 kids, Carl and Cassie, played by Hutcherson and JoJo, drag their feet the whole way as they're in that phase of wanting nothing to do with their parents, and especially not their father's wild ideas. As they embark on this journey, however, they meet a wild ride of guest cameos, including the Gornicki family, experience ridiculous circumstance after ridiculous circumstance, but ultimately, this trip brings them all closer. Is this movie cheesy? Yes. Is there bad acting at times? Definitely. But if you were lucky enough to grow up in a 2-parent household with siblings where it's a relatively healthy dynamic, you should consider yourself really lucky. And I think movies like this remind us that we need to keep checking in on our family members. I also love this movie's take on a road trip trope type of movie and exploring the RV life. All of the hilarious things that happen, particularly to Robin Williams, just makes it that much more enjoyable, even if it is, again, cheesy and cringy. So if you need a more family-friendly movie for your next movie night, this is one I really recommend. On to The Shallows from 2016, starring Blake Lively and directed by Jaume Collet Serra. Hopefully I said that right. Now, regardless of how you currently feel about Blake Lively, every summer movie watch list needs a good shark movie, and this one perfectly delivers, in my opinion. Personally, I think this is the number 2 shark movie, second to Jaws. Fight me on that in the comments. Is there a better one? I don't know, at least that I've seen. It is perfect in its intensity and that fear of this shark coming after you. The Shallows is about Blake Lively's character Nancy as she searches for some solace after the death of her mother. And while dangerously surfing alone, she encounters a great white shark that makes her his next target. She spends almost the entire movie alone, stranded on a rock jutting up out of the ocean as the shark circles. She makes the cutest friend a seagull that is her only companion, both of them having been injured. The movie is her figuring out how to trick the shark so she can safely make it back to shore. And don't worry, nothing happens to the bird. This movie is constant, intense action, with a little bit of horror depending on how you feel about sharks. But the quiet moments are the ones that really stand out because it preys on that fear of complete isolation. And what do you do when you're the only person who can get you out of the situation you're in? There's no big mystery to solve here. The bad guy is a shark, but I love this movie for a good thriller summer movie lineup. Okay, next up is Palm Springs from 2020, starring Andy Samberg and Kristen Milotti. This movie was directed by Max Barbakow. Who doesn't love a good time loop movie? This movie perfectly emulates what a hot desert summer setting would feel like, pairing it with an absolutely hilarious time loop storyline that also brings about one of the sweetest love stories I've seen in recent years. Palm Springs focuses on two strangers, Niles and Sarah, who meet at a wedding in Palm Springs and inadvertently find themselves stuck in a time loop, reliving the same day over and over again. Niles has been in the time loop for a while already when Sarah finds herself newly stuck. She awakens something in Niles that is more than just two people trying to escape an unrealistic phenomenon. The two form an unusual bond, and she gives him hope that there's a way out of the time loop and perhaps also a future for the two of them. This movie is the perfect blend of romance and comedy with a little bit of sci-fi in it as well. This movie is naturally funny and it doesn't take itself too seriously. And I found that my favorite part was getting to see how each new day would play out as they wake up over and over again. And you have no idea what crazy things are going to ensue on that day's iteration of the time loop. It definitely gives Groundhog Day a run for its money. Sorry. And it comes in number 2 for me after Edge of Tomorrow in my favorite time loop movies. Last but not least is Evil Under the Sun from 1982. This movie stars Peter Ustinov, Maggie Smith, Roddy McDowall, and many others as it has a wonderful ensemble cast. And it was directed by Guy Hamilton. It is such a good movie. If you love like Glass Onion or Knives Out or any of their Agatha Christie movies and you haven't seen this one, I highly recommend it. The movie is based around Hercule Poirot, Agatha Christie's main detective, as he's trying to figure out a crime that occurs while on holiday. Evil Under the Sun is the story of Hercule Poirot, played by Peter Ustinov, as he investigates the murder of Arlena Marshall, a resort resident who was found strangled on one of the private island's secluded beaches. There's a large cast of potential murder suspects and plenty of red herrings, as Poirot must figure out the particulars of this case. Poirot is shrewd and ingenious as always, and he manages to figure out the crime with his keen detective skills. I'm a huge fan of Poirot in general, but this standalone version is definitely one of my favorite Poirot iterations. I love how all the characters are interwoven and how Poirot has to piece through all of their storylines, some of which are true and some are not, to figure out what actually happened to Arlena. Maggie Smith also gives a wonderful performance in this. She's just so funny and cuckoo. She's kind of giving off like the British version of Lucille Ball because of her costuming and her bright red hair. I beg you to give this movie a shot. And also, I dare you to try and figure it out because the first time I saw it, every single time I thought I had it, I was wrong. So add it to your next movie watch list. In my opinion, you won't regret it. All right, guys, that's another batch of movies to check out for your next movie night. Let me know in the comments, have you heard of these movies? Have you seen any of these movies? Do you agree with me that these are good summer movies? I want to hear all your thoughts in the comments. And if you like movie content like this, please consider giving this video a like or even subscribing to my channel where I do a lot of movie recommendations and movie reaction videos. That's all for today. Until next time, bye!